John 25 says Lynch's ego is blowing up the Niners Super Bowl window. Lynch's ego, Jed's inactivity, Kyle's reticence to make a decision. I don't know, man. I don't get it. But funny things happen. Maybe they win the Super Bowl this year. Maybe George Odom makes a play in the playoffs on special teams. That's all they need. Maybe he intercepts Matthew Stafford in the NFC Championship game. He had 2 picks last year.
Yeah, he had 2. He's only had 2. I think that's a big addition for them, though, for their defense. With where they are. And, are we going to be talking about the 49ers offseason so far in a minute?
Yes.
Or do you want to get into that now? Okay.
Real quick, okay. I wanted to say, I don't think it's just Lynch's ego. I just feel like there's a whole attitude this year of like complacency. Like, hey, man, we made the NFC Championship game last year. Like, get off our back. Stop telling us what to do. We're good. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like last year, there was some urgency at times. Like now they're like, just let us do what we do. We've proven we're a good franchise. Like you haven't had winning seasons back to back since I was 25. Like, let's see.
That's true. It hasn't been since 2013.
13? Yeah, man. Let's see. Because the way this is like trending, a bizarre quarterback situation, a worse offensive line, like this could go bad. Like 2020, your quarterbacks could get hurt. I mean, this has happened to you before. This has happened. It happened 2 years ago, and you're running it back. They're running it back.
I think you just hit on my biggest piece of where this team's headed in a minute when we get there. Because if you go back to the 2020 team, that team should not have been 6-10.
Let's talk about it right now. I don't know if I do have a topic waiting for us. Well, what do you want to say about what this team?
I'm just going to say I think if you go back to 2020, I think the 49ers were a quarterback away from being a playoff team with all the injuries that they had. And on the offensive side, they didn't have Deebo Samuel for a while. George Kittle was on and off the field. Really, Samuel missed most of the season, and same thing with Kittle. They had a mess in the front on the front with the center and right guard position constantly rotating around because of injuries. They were just awful there. Who was it? Hroniss Grasu was the starting center. Yeah. I think week 1 or week 2. And despite all that, they were a quarterback away from being a playoff team. There were so many games throughout that season. If they had a quarterback, they could just not make the stupid throw and turn it over. As much as I liked Nick Mullins, I think he was the reason why they didn't get to the playoffs that year.
I just disagree with that. To me, what happened in 2020 was the offensive line was so bad. They gave up so many quarterback hits. They got all 3 of their quarterbacks hurt. Jimmy got hurt right off the bat. Nick Mullins hung in there a long time, got hurt. And Beathard took a pounding too. I felt like that's what could happen this year. They've already downgraded at left guard. They don't know what's happening to center. Right guard's okay. And right tackle's a total question mark. Like, who's to say they're not going to have another season where Trey Lance is the starter? Everyone gets hurt. We've seen this happen before. I don't know. I guess you don't go there mentally in March, but it's football. I don't know. Concerned. Pass protection, not great. Except at left tackle.
I think it's okay to be concerned.
This was why we were against signing Trent Williams.
Well, it was the value, the amount of money that he was going to be chewing up was what the question was, and that's going to be something to think about down the road.
Offensive lineman last year, not one.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that their depth along the offensive line is a little bit better than we give it credit for. They have the ability. What's that?
I like their depth on the offensive line. It's the starters.
Right. Well, I understand, but I feel like I think that I don't know if they're going to make a move in free agency for their offensive lineman. I just have a feeling that's going to come in the draft, just the way that everything's set up. So I think they're going to, I really think you're going to see, I probably told you already, Banks at left guard, I think is going to be there. The center position, I think they're a little bit better this year than they were in 2020, in that if something does go wrong and Alex Mack retires, at least they have somebody that's been a center. That's there. That's not coming from another team. He's been with them for a couple of years.
Brendel or Brendel?
No, Jake Brendel. I mean, not that he's great, not that he's anything to write home about. But here's a guy who was active throughout all of last year and has been around the league and could step in and has been part of their system. He's not coming from another team. The week of the first. The week that he needs to start, basically.
David says maybe J.C. Jackson didn't want to play for the 49ers. Why?
Well, I mean,
not want to play for the 49ers.
J.C. Jackson wanted, J.C. Jackson got a bunch of money, a lot more money up front than what
that's what he wanted. He wanted money.
Yeah, he wanted more money.
Had money to give him. They would have came. Your money's not good here.
Well, I mean, there was the fact that he's playing with a high school teammate. Maybe that's it. But I think the guys today both hit it. When you're coming out to California, it's a little bit different on the pocketbook when it comes to your living situation.
You think the Niners can get Jaquaski Tart to resign so he can play with his high school teammate? Hey, we're not really offering that much money, but we got Jimmy Ward. What do you say?
I think so. I think Jaquaski seems like a nice guy who puts the 49ers first, and
even though they don't put him first.
I'm completely being facetious with that, but
me too.
We'll see what happens with it.
Rod says Lynch is the presence of the locker room, the reason why the locker room praised Jimmy faithfully, but we shouldn't have given away Martin Mayhew. Oh, well, Martin Mayhew I don't like Washington bringing in Carson Wentz. That to me was maybe the worst quarterback move of the offseason, like 2 threes, and Ryan's worth 1. You messed up, my opinion. Not a big Carson Wentz fan, although he played really well against the Niners the last 2 years. Eddie says, "Hi, Grant. My name is Eddie, and I am 9. I love your show. You're the best. Go Niners." Thanks, Eddie.
That's nice.
Nice to meet you. My name's Grant, and I'm 34. I appreciate it. Thank you. A 9-year-old give me $10, though? I feel terrible. Terrible.
That's probably his whole allowance right there.
How you give me $10, man? You should not be spending money on the internet at 9 years old. Get your dad. You're on timeout right now. Go to your.
He probably has his dad's credit card.
Get your dad out when you're right. We got to talk. If Jimmy wide receiver was Michael Crabtree, Press would have had fun. Crabtree wouldn't have held back. Crabtree would have said what he felt.
Okay.
Although if you threw the ball to Crabtree, he was happy. Grant, can you please look at the 2019 and 2021 season and tell me where the improvement was from Jimmy? And that tells you why no one offered a trade. Well, according to the reports, it was only because he's hurt. If he was healthy, there would have been a huge market for him.
It's funny because in 2019 and 2020, there wasn't much difference between Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers were in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl both those years. So.
Keep it going. That's what I've been trying to say. More Jimmy. Convert Jimmy to wide receiver.
He's got wheels. Jimmy wheels.
He got wheels.